find the sum, 7 plus 11 plus 15, all the way up through 227. First step, we'll decide whether we're getting our terms from an arithmetic or a geometric sequence. So let's check arithmetic first. Now, for an arithmetic sequence, how do we build? We're going to start with our first term, and then I get all of our other terms by adding a fixed number as we go along. Now, because of that, if I take the difference between any two terms, that number is always going to be fixed, and that's what we call the common difference. So, we check 11 minus 7, I get a 4. 15 minus 11, I get a 4. So this is looking arithmetic. Now, if we have an arithmetic sequence, formula is going to be given by, okay, the nth term, assuming we're starting with the first term as n equals 1. That's going to be given by, take your first term, in this case it's going to be a 7. You add your common difference, so here that's going to be a 4, and then multiply by n minus 1. Now, the reason for the n minus 1, if I want the first term to be 7, when we put a 1 in here, I want this term to go to 0. So that'll happen if I use the n minus 1 instead of the n. So it'll depend on the book you're using. Now, let's check this. So if we put a 1 in here, 7 comes out. If I put a 2 in here, we have 7 plus 4 gives me 11. So that comes out right. And then if I put a 3 in here, we're going to get 8 plus 7 gives me 15. So this is checking out. So let's figure out what number term 227 is. So I'll set 227 equals 7 plus 4 n minus 1, and then we solve for n. So I'll move the 7 to the other side, divide by 4 gives me a 55, push the 1 to the other side, and we get n equals 56. So 227 is the 56th term. Okay, so that means we have 56 terms on the board. Okay, let's take the sum. So we're not going to use the formula. We'll point that out at the end. Let's see how we would do this using our formula for the arithmetic sequence. So what we'll do is we'll take each of these terms, write them out in this form, and then just pull apart each parentheses. Now, we take a look. So we're going to do 56 terms. So we're going to start with 7 plus 0 times 4, which is just 7. 11 is just 7 plus 1 times 4. And then as we go all the way out, our last term is term number 56, and that's going to be 7 plus n minus 1, which is 55, times 4. Now, let's separate the parentheses out. So if you notice, we're going to have a 7 in each parentheses. So if I count all the 7s, we're going to have 56. So our first part's going to be 56 times 7. Then, if we count the second entries, we'll have 0 times 4, plus 1 times 4, plus 2 times 4, all the way up through 55 times 4. If you pull the 4 out, you're going to be left with 4 times 1 plus 2, all the way up through 55. Now, there's a formula for this. So it's going to be, you take your biggest term, your 55, add 1 to it, multiply, and then divide by 2. If we put this in a calculator, out comes 6,552. So that's going to be our answer. Now, let's check the formula that I used. So this is going to drive everything. Now, this is going to be Gauss's trick. So what did he do? The idea is we're going to take our sum 1 through n, we're going to give it a name s. Then we're going to take s and just write it backwards. So I'll have n plus n minus 1 all the way down to 1. And then the idea is going to be, if we just add down the columns, what happens? On this side, I have 2s. On this side, what's happening? As I go down each column, I get n plus 1, n plus 1, n plus 1, all the way down to n plus 1. Now, if you note, we have n of these because we have n columns. So when we take this sum, we're going to get n times n plus 1. So our sum is going to be equal to, if I divide by 2, n plus 1 divided by 2. So that's how we get from here to here. Here we have n equal to 55. So when you put all this together, you're going to wind up getting the formula for your sum to be your first term times n plus n times n minus 1 over 2 times your common difference d. If we use the formula here, out comes your 6,552. Okay, that's exactly what we did up here. Of course, you should check this. So if you go to your computer, just put in a line or two of code, you'll see if you do it the long way, just by adding up all 56 terms, okay, you don't want to do that by hand, but you could, you're going to wind up getting your 6,552 also.